Are the Steelers about to make a run at superstar quarterback Jalen Ramsey? Should the Steelers send one of their second-round picks to go get DeAndre Hopkins? And then Jordan Addison, there's a report that the Steelers may not be interested. We cover these topics and so much more in this video of Steelers Talk. Welcome into the show, Steeler Nation. We got a great slate of Steelers rumors to cover, but before we get into today's show, I want to hear from you guys. Which teams are going to advance to the Super Bowl this Sunday on NFL's championship weekend? You got the Niners versus the Eagles. Personally, I would go with the 49ers there, but the real interesting game to me is the Bengals versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes isn't 100%. Burrow and the Bengals are playing hot. Let me know who you think will be playing in Arizona in 2 weeks to hoist the Lombardi Trophy. I think it's going to be San Francisco and Kansas City. I'm going to go with Mahomes, but man, that injury is a little bit scary. But let's just jump right into today's action. First rumor of the day. Are the Steelers interested in trading for Jalen Ramsey? We know that Jalen Ramsey is one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League, so this would be a real get for the Steelers. But Noah Strackbein, he writes for Sports Illustrated, he had this to say about the Steelers potentially going in to get the three-time All-Pro. With Cam Sutton hitting free agency and Ahkello Witherspoon and William Jackson coming off of injuries, there's plenty of uncertainty about how this unit will look next season. He goes on to say Ramsey will be on the trading block this offseason as the Rams look to create some cap space. The All-Pro cornerback has 3 years remaining on his contract and is set to make $25.2 million in a potential cap hit this upcoming season. Then finally, he concludes with the money would cause concern for the trade. He talks about the Steelers' cap space. But the assets to acquire Ramsey likely wouldn't be an issue. The Steelers currently hold the 17th and the 32nd picks in the NFL draft this year, which is likely enough to get the star corner. Now, I don't think that they would offer the 17th and 32nd just because the contract, like he says, is massive. The Steelers already have a bunch of big contracts. So this is more of a realistic trade opportunity, offer, whatever you want to call it, for the Steelers to go get Jalen Ramsey. And it would probably have to involve Diontae Johnson, the wide receiver. So I think that this one is a bit unlikely, right? You'd be trading Diontae and a second-round pick, number 32 overall, for Ramsey. And I just don't think that it's super likely because I don't think the Steelers want to deal Diontae Johnson. I think Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin really like Diontae. So unless Diontae comes out and says, I want to be traded, I'm not sure if a trade for really any big superstar is really possible this offseason. But I want to hear from you guys. Would you make this trade? Would you trade Diontae Johnson and the 32nd overall pick next year for Jalen Ramsey, one of the best shutdown cornerbacks in the National Football League? Type Y if you think yes, or type N if you think no. This is the pinned comment on today's video. So whenever you get an ad break here on the show, go ahead and go into the comment section, find that pinned comment. It'll be right there at the top, and answer today's question. And another superstar that the Steelers could be pursuing this offseason, a big splash move trade, is DeAndre Hopkins. We've talked about D-Hop on the show a couple of times already, but I think that this is an opportunity that the Steelers could really take advantage of potentially. So DeAndre is a 5-time NFL All-Pro, 3-time first-team All-Pro, so this guy is one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. He's made 5 Pro Bowls. He's got some of the best hands in the National Football League. Still a really good route runner, really big body, some of the best body control I've ever seen in a wide receiver. The Steelers could really, really use him. And he's expected to go for a day 2 pick, which is round 2 or round 3. That's what the Cardinals are looking for him right now. You would be like, well, someone like a star quality like DeAndre Hopkins, he should go for a first. But at the end of the day, he is getting up there. He's in his 30s now, and he's got a huge contract. So you take those things into account. That the Cardinals are probably going to be looking for a round 2 pick, and the Steelers could potentially give him one. Coming up, I'm going to tell you just how realistic a DeAndre Hopkins trade is for the Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor at Athletic Greens. I drink AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every morning, and I love it. Get comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition at athleticgreens.com/chatsports. I gave AG1 a try because I wanted more sustained energy throughout my day and wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. I drink AG1 in the morning, and it makes me feel ready to take on my day. AG1 combines all of your key health products in one convenient and tasty beverage. And in my line of work, sometimes you have to put in long hours. So AG1 helps me feel energized and sharp so I can be at my best no matter how busy my schedule gets. Covering my nutritional basis for the day literally couldn't be easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix 1 small scoop of AG1 with 12 ounces of water and drink it first thing each morning on an empty stomach. Done. I also like that it costs less than $3 a day, which you ask me, it's pretty darn good. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality sourced ingredients, which of course is a win-win for you and your health. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplemental routine, then Athletic Greens will give you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That's athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Go into the comment section and description of this video to find the link, guys. They are fantastic. So I've got 2 potential trade offers to go get DeAndre Hopkins here. This is the first option. Give him the 49th overall draft pick in this year's NFL draft. This is what the Cardinals are usually looking for here. They're looking for that day 2 pick, 49th overall. I think is pretty fair there. And then if you add him to this wide receiving core, it looks pretty scary, man. DeAndre Hopkins at wide receiver 1. You got George Pickens to learn from him there at wide receiver 2, a blooming talent. And then Diontae Johnson, someone that's more of a smaller receiver anyway, can move to the slot. Somebody that's really shifty, great route runner. I think Diontae Johnson, he spent a lot of time in the slot, especially in the second half of this season. I think this would be a great fit. But at the end of the day, guys, combining these, especially having Diontae Johnson and DeAndre Hopkins on the same team, I just don't know if it's going to be feasible because of the contracts, right? D-Hops has like a $30 million cap hit next year, right? Something like that. Diontae Johnson has, I think it's 16. I mean, that's just so much money. And then you also have the most expensive defense in the National Football League. If you bring him in without trading away Diontae Johnson, you can say goodbye to re-signing some of these players that are going to be free agents. You're going to have to cut Myles Jack and Chukwuma Okorafor. You can't re-sign Cam Sutton. You can't re-sign Terrell Edmonds, Derek Watt, fan favorite. Wave goodbye to him if you trade for DeAndre Hopkins and Diontae Johnson's still on the roster. You'd be able to do almost nothing in free agency if you made this trade. So really, realistically, this is probably what the Steelers could offer. If Diontae Johnson wants to ask for a trade, if he's okay with the trade, you could send him to Arizona. Just straight up, DeAndre Hopkins for Diontae Johnson. Right now, Diontae Johnson is younger, which is why this is kind of a comparable trade in my opinion. But this scenario is also pretty unlikely. Arizona's trying to rebuild right now. They might not want a veteran receiver that's slated to make $16 million in a cap hit next year. But at the end of the day, guys, I think this is probably the most realistic trade offer that the Steelers could potentially get DeAndre Hopkins on their roster. Of course, you'd be combining him with Calvin Austin III, George Pickens, younger guys, but you get a bona fide number 1 wide receiver on the Pittsburgh Steelers roster if you make this trade. To me, Diontae's not quite there, but I guess that's up for debate. Go ahead and go into the comments section right now and tell me, would you make this trade, DeAndre Hopkins for Diontae Johnson, straight up? Type 1 if you say yes, or type 0 if you think no. For me, I think I would take it. I would take this trade. If they make this trade, you get a number 1 wide receiver. I don't think Diontae Johnson's a true number 1. DeAndre Hopkins is. So even though Diontae's younger, DeAndre is older, I would still go with this because you got guys for the future if you're the Steelers. You got George Pickens, Calvin Austin III. I think this is absolutely worth it if you are the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if a trade happens this offseason, go ahead and subscribe to the channel because we're going to have breaking news coverage. Every time that the Steelers make a signing, every time they cut somebody, if a trade happens, we're going to have you covered here on the channel. So go ahead, click that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you always get notified when we put out new videos. And our final story today, Gerry Dulac, one of the most respected names in Steelers press. He went on his radio show and he pretty much said Steelers are not going to take a wide receiver, and that includes Jordan Addison. And if they do, shame on them. Oh my goodness, man. Like, Dulac is bringing the heat. All right, so this is what he had to say on his show. He said the Steelers won't draft a receiver high. If they do, shame on them. Not before the 4th round. So he's saying if they take somebody, take one in the later rounds because wide receiver is not a huge need. And then he was asked specifically about Jordan Addison, and he said nope. And if they do, shame on them. He was asked should they or will they even consider drafting Jordan Addison. He said no way, they're not going to do it. But in my opinion, guys, I'm not sure if I agree with Gerry. He's very connected in the building, so it's very possible they're not even looking at these top wide receivers in the NFL draft next year. But I think you have to keep every door open. You have to take into account all the different things. You got to take in free agency, who you can get there, and then you also have to take into account that Kenny Pickett and Jordan Addison were fantastic together at Pitt, and it was just a fantastic thing to watch. We've seen seen Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Waddle work out in the NFL. We've seen Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase have a really great connection. Why can't it be the same for Kenny Pickett and Jordan Addison? It's certainly a possibility. I would still look for offensive tackle first, but if all three of the top offensive tackle prospects are gone, why not add him to the list? Because you look at the Steelers wide receiver room right now, he would fit perfectly right into that slot position. And not only that, but you can move him outside. Diontae can play the slot too. It gives you variability if you go get Jordan Addison. I think he's a good fit for the offense. I think that he gives you the ability to get yards after the catch. And right now, I'm not sure if I agree that it's absolutely not a need. Like Calvin Austin III, he's got upside in the slot, but he's unproven. He's coming off of major foot injury. Something like this needs to be addressed, and unless you are completely 100% positive that Calvin Austin III is going to work out in the slot next year, I would at least consider taking someone that could fill that spot in the slot next year. Give Calvin Austin III some competition. Not only that, but you're reuniting Kenny Pickett with his favorite wide receiver from college. You're making your quarterback happy, which of course is a good thing. I think that Jordan Addison is probably the one receiver that I would consider taking in the first round if I were the Steelers, but it sounds like the Steelers might not even be considering it at all. All right, guys, go in the comment section right now and tell me, should the Steelers draft Jordan Addison with the 17th overall pick in the 2023 NFL draft if he's available? Type D if you think draft, or type P if you think they should pass on him. That'll be it for today's show, guys, but I really appreciate everybody that made it to the end of the video. You are a true Yinzer. You are a real one. So go ahead and go in the comment section and type real one in all caps if you made it to the end of the video. I appreciate you, Steeler Nation. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.